Good morning. Good. I script my own intro. All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night, wherever you are, whenever you're watching. Thank you for watching Morning Brew. Let's start out with David Glenn. Good morning. How are you today? Last son of Kay. And let's see here. Weatherman. Hello, all. Griffin, good morning. Glad to be here. Ah, well, you can't chat much now, but at least you made it. Thank you. I'm glad you were able to make it this morning, whatever it is for you. Good morning, good afternoon, Admiral Teague. How are you today? So say what's up, everybody. Not too much here. Last time the K has a good idea. That's some coffee. I should have gotten some before starting, but I thought, nah, I'll just wait. I'll just wait. And it's good to see people from Culture Stream. Thank you very much for joining. It's always a good and Pacific 414. Hey, how are you doing today, Mike? What's going on? Let's see here. 95% humidity. Wow. Whew. That's and James Guy, thank you very much for smashing the like button. I need to catch one of your live streams. I keep seeing your live right in the middle of when I'm on a stream. It's like, oh, can't go, can't. You know what? I'm gonna pop in at least and at least say hi. That way, I can at least be there for you. I like doing that. And Mr. Lundell, actually, I chose that, and I was listening to some stuff with Loki's Mornings of Mischief, and so that's kind of the feeling that I wanted to go for was kind of a bluesy kind of coffee shop kind of place. Let's see here now. Weatherman says caffeine. Resolute Germ says hello. Hello, Resolute Germ. What's going on? Yeah, I'm doing well, thank you. Christian Fandom Geek. Hello. Good morning. Good afternoon. How are you today? And Brandon Looney Tunes Fan 2000. What's up, Doc? Ah, let's see here now. Big long tall geeks. I like that. I like that. Well, I'm glad to hear you're doing good. I'm glad to hear that. Now let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and post the StreamYard link for anyone who wants to join. Let's see here. Let me go ahead, get off top chat. Pin message. And there we go. I hope everyone's doing well this morning or this afternoon, whatever it is for you. Just kind of having one of those days. I was the funny thing was I was actually expecting Culture Casino to run a little longer than he did. Um, but apparently because he had places to go, um, he ended early. And hello, Jim's Landscape LLC. Hello, Admiral Teague.
Good morning, Captain Fandom Nerd. Hey, simply having my morning coffee. It's a
Uh,
delight to be here visiting with you. Hi, everybody.
oh, Picard would need his IV of coffee.
Picard. It's suppository Earl Grey at this point for him, right? Yeah, I'd like my Grey suppository now. Hi, everybody in the chat. Hey, everyone. It's good to see
I
everybody.
remember he likes his decaf now.
Oh, he likes the big D for sure. Bev, so sorry about when I was in love with you. It was a mistake made by a biological being. I'm the vibrator you wanted now. Hey, Resolute Charm.
How's it going?
Going good. How's it going with you, Germ?
Well,
Not too bad.
based on what we got from the show, she was mad at him for his human failings, but he's no longer human, and that means that like she should be DTF, but he's a robot, so he's fully functional. What's the difference between Picard and a vibrator? Does he also need like robot Viagra? It's like we made you old and weak like you'd want to be. We also made it so you need robot Viagra.
Interesting.
They can't make their own characters, and look what they do to the ones we gave them.
Well, that's why you don't watch.
Exactly.
Well, we found out that unlike with Disney, where it just is absolutely a view count repulsor, if we keep it under control, there's an appetite for what happens on the show, but a disdain for watching it, and that's where I come in.
Yeah,
I
there
can't
are.
see why people would even want to know.
I'm glad that so many people have joined me, and I think part of it is that it's always monumentally, shockingly stupid. I mean, these people have never found their lowest point, and every season's been dumber than the one before. And now, I don't know about you, Captain, but it seems to me like Strange New Worlds has a new timeline for every episode. It exists in absence of the other shows in the same continuity. It's baffling now.
It doesn't. Yeah, it almost seems like there's each new episode is like, oh well, we're starting over.
And
What?
we boot reality again in every episode. 2 episodes back, everybody was from an alternate universe having a dream in a fantasy dimension that didn't exist in a broken off story that had no consequences. And last week, everybody was extra dumb on purpose. Like they admitted they were dumb. They were admittedly dumb from the stupefying waves from the asteroid. So no one has had their personality, and no story has had any weight for 2 weeks. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
the only reason, and this is the show's problem, they can't have they can't have Ortegas take an order from Spock or listen to him or get help from him. So everyone has to be dumb. And by the way, Spock won that poll. People did not think that he was affected by the asteroids. They thought he was as dumb as usual. Make of it what you will.
And good morning, Daniel's Hot Topics. How are you this morning, Daniel?
Good morning.
Ah, it's funny because I know I don't know where people are offhand. I mean, there's some I do, some I don't, and so it's like, oh, it's either morning or afternoon, either one.
I just crossed over about 45 minutes ago, so I'm on the East Coast.
Yeah.
Everybody, put your zip code, phone number, and social security number in the comments first.
That won't work here. Twitch, you get 100 of them.
Anymore. Yeah, like someone just be like, I stole this social security card yesterday. I'll just give them that one. Daniel, you're allowed to love Ortegas. You are. And here's the reason why I understand why people do. You ready? She's the point of view character. She's never wrong. When has Ortegas ever been wrong? Captain Pike knows it. He never says anything. He never talks back to Ortegas, ever, no matter how many times she disrespects him. When Ortega says, fuck you, no, he's like, well, I better consider my course of action then. She is a bully, and then when the camera pulls back, she's 3 feet tall. There are things about that character that are just infuriating, but she's shown as being correct with musical cues and by the story every time. It's just the way it is.
I wonder what this week's episode's going to bring.
21 producers and 8 named cast members. That opening has 6 named cast members and 21 producers.
21 producers. I'm always amazed by that. 21 producers.
Entire movies have 2 and 3. It's a Ponzi scheme. This is how they're making the Rings of Power so expensive. And the same people making this are making Secret Invasion, so they're like flopping on 2 fronts. It's the same people. Kyle Bradstreet's name is on directing and on executive producing for both terrible projects, and they're both terrible and unwatchable in the same exact way. Same exact way.
That's one reason I don't really pay attention to directors or producers, and none of them are all that together talented anymore.
I can't make any excuses for what I do on YouTube. I'll just say this. You ready? Murder and rape are very horrible things, yet we have 2 Law and Order shows dedicated just to them. People, once you wash off the reality of it, want to know. Hey, Deej.
Boobs.
Yes.
Boobs.
Boobs.
So say we all.
So say we all.
Listen, Deej is among those who's a gawker on this one. There's a curiosity for people to know what happened in the show Picard, but a disdain towards actually watching it oneself, and a real disdain towards watching it alone. And you're a bad friend for making other people watch it. So what do you do? You go out there, you be a bad friend, and you try to all have fun. And we've done that whenever we talked about this show. The show's not fun, but we can have some fun with it.
Look, a pink furry sitting. Yes, I am sitting.
It's good
You're
to
sitting. Wow.
Why is this notable?
I don't know. Last on the case said a pink furry sitting.
Here's a question. How much time does a sedentary person get out of a gamer's chair? I get about a year to 2 years.
And Good afternoon, Darius Munchausen. How are you today?
Hell, it's good to see you, Darius. Darius is in every good live stream. We seem to have the same viewing habits.
I hadn't seen Darius for a while, so greetings, Darius Munchausen.
So, how are you doing, Deej?
What are you laughing about?
Just you.
It's just Darius Munchausen.
I was trying to explain the adventures of Baron Munchausen to Appion the other day. He was understandably confused.
Yes.
Yeah, and it was just kind of impossible to put it into words. Like, so this thing is happening while this guy is talking bullshit, but the bullshit's true, but the thing that's happening is kind of the only thing not really happening. If you understand what I'm, and it's just like, huh? I'm like, never mind. You gotta see. Terry Gilliam movies defy summation.
That doesn't sound like a very interesting concept for a movie.
It's just one movie that doesn't really ever soar for long periods. It's botched in places. I think that the problem was the star was ill, so they kind of scaled back their ambitions and they managed to make it out of there with a serviceable movie. And then the star passes away shortly after. So, yeah, there might have been friendship and loyalty involved in finishing that movie.
Yeah.
So I forgive it based on that. It's the only movie Robin Williams is in for a brief enough time that I don't start getting depressed. I cannot watch a Robin Williams movie anymore, not out of any kind of spite or malice. It just makes me so sad.
I don't know. Him I could actually watch. He didn't do anything to destroy his career.
Except kill himself.
I don't think he had a choice. We found out his medical situation was so grim that it was simply taking his feet. At that point, let's use this phrase. Ready? He just decided his own terms were better than increasing pain and madness. I don't blame him. He wasn't depressed, though. Don't let people co-opt that as an excuse to preach something else that didn't happen. He wasn't.
Yeah, he had something equivalent to the brain degeneration that you see in a lot of professional sports.
Something like
just
CTI,
wasn't concussion.
Right. And it had like also like something else with it, like inert matter in his blood that couldn't be cleaned out, that was causing increasing hallucinations that he could not tell from reality. I'm sorry, Robin Williams didn't have an obligation to suffer. And he gave us a lot of joy, but that's why I have a problem watching his movies now, because it makes me so sad. And the way was that the first time we saw that the press was nakedly horribly ugly, when they were they had the press conference and the first question was he clothed? It's like, fuck you.
If that's the first warning sign you got for the degeneracy of American media, you haven't been paying attention the last 50 years.
This was about, how long ago is it now? 8 or 9 years. And I said nakedly. I thought they were covertly horrible before that.
I hope first thing people ask when they find out I died is if I'm dressed or not.
You can understand why a hard-boiled crime reporter would ask it, but to show it on TV, that press conference should never have been live. That city's inept, too. Where'd he die? L.A.? Way to go, L.A. You made Robin Williams fans sad forever.
That was sort of half their point.
Humiliate this great man.
So he wasn't exactly popular in the media.
He wasn't exactly unpopular to the city, though. I don't know. It's sad.
So, Deej, the question for you would be, how were you dressed, not if you were dressed?
No, the question would be if I was dressed, because I might have not been wearing any onesies I might have been doing something that most people wouldn't want to know, so it would be kind of fun to creep them out one last time after I went.
Oh, that's true.
You'd be wearing a onesie when you do that.
Oh no, no, I don't. Don't want to stay in the onesie.
Anybody gotten to see a teased look at Mission Impossible? Everyone's loving on it.
It looks about as good as the rest of them.
It looks better than the second one that had me wondering if they should go forward. I didn't like the second one.
I haven't watched any of them.
They're all pretty formulaic. You've seen one of them. You've seen pretty much all of them.
It's,
But
again,
it's a fun setup.
I would again say like 2 is a weird exception, and also Tom Cruise does seem, and you're right, they are pretty formulaic, most of the rest of them, but Tom Cruise, he even milked a good movie out of J.J. Abrams. That J.J. Abrams Mission Impossible is nowhere near as bad as every other J.J. Abrams movie. He's like, no, you're not. Sorry, go ahead.
I haven't watched a damn Tom Cruise movie ever since that fucked up War of the Worlds bullshit.
I blame Spielberg for that.
Yeah. But that JJ one, not as bad because you know who is actually in charge, and it wasn't JJ.
It was JJ until a point, right? Like when you say actually in charge, you're right. Like the thing is, Tom Cruise is like super executive producer and producer outright. He doesn't
can
have
come over there and bitch slap him whenever he crossed the line,
or simply wave him off, because like I don't think J.J. Abrams has passion for his movies. There's no passion in his movies. So when Tom Cruise goes, no, we're not going to be idiotic just to get your shot, he's like, okay, less work for me. Like I don't think there's conflict there. He's just like, no, here's like 5 things we've noped out on, and I've written a new scene. We're not going to have this mystery unresolved in my movie. I solved this mystery. It's like, I'm sorry, no, your mystery box in this movie will have to be that my girlfriend just splits. And everyone will understand why, so no one will bother thinking it's strange. You know who wears a onesie? Nurse Chapel. That is not a cat suit. Fight me. I've proven it with pictures of Julie Newmar and 7 of 9 and T'Pol in cat suits.
Those are cat suits, yeah.
Nurse Chapel wears a onesie, and it's not very kind to poor Jess Bush, who's beautiful. We had some men-hating people think out a costume that's really going to make your gorgeous self look terrible. Put it on.
Wait a minute. You really think she's beautiful?
In the episode where she takes the drugs and beats up all those guys, all those Klingons, right? When when she's not wearing, listen, here's the thing. I don't want to low road the actress. And you know what? We put her in a bar full of normies. She's going to get everyone's eye first. And I also
at best she's a 5 out of 10.
She's a 7 or an 8.
No.
Go a little bit better. She's maybe a 6.
She's
5 to 6.
She's a bit twiggy.
I'm going to say this right
too
now.
Tiny. She's too skinny. She needs a damn cheeseburger.
I think maybe she needs to work out because she's untoned. But I would say this: she's still beautiful, and there's someone for everyone, and no one should feel ugly.
That's true.
Don't take my word on this. I've seen much funnier looking people than her with spouses.
She's ugly.
Right. Well, we are kind of going there. I suggested she doesn't look good in the onesie. And I'm owning that. But I'm saying that everyone in that show is shot in an unflattering manner, especially women who aren't Rebecca Romaine. Rebecca Romaine and Ortegas are their stars. They spend time and care on them. Everyone else is incidental. And even those 2 characters will change with the story's needs. There's no real rules on that show.
Daniel, stop listening to rumors. Stop.
Someone saying Mikey Sue's stream that William Shatner will be an episode of Strange New Worlds. He said outright he won't do it. He said outright he won't do it in a room where I was listening firsthand in February. If something's changed, we would know. We would know. They'd be spiking the football. They would already be throwing the parade and blowing horns that in 10 months. These people have so little to celebrate that if William Shatner gave them 5 seconds of his time and looked at a view screen and said, go ahead, as they cliffhangered their season, they would be talking about it now, and it would be the beginning of the trailer. Give me a break.
Yeah.
Not to take anything away from anybody. They can say whatever they want. But at this point, their track record of honesty, who told us that they were losing their Netflix contract and had lost it 6 months earlier and knew it? Who told us that? Them or Netflix? They lied up to the day Netflix said we're legally allowed to say we canceled this show.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Now, I wouldn't put it past them to edit up some old footage and make it look like he appeared.
Agreed.
They can
What,
do that all they want without
Shatner?
Shatner's permission.
I don't think
Any
they.
Star Trek footage they have, they can cut
No,
up
I
and
don't know about
digitally
that.
mess with.
I honestly don't know if they have the right to the other Star Trek shows. I think it's independent. And if you were Rod Roddenberry and you had any kind of business manager, assuming you inherited business management people from your dad and your mom who knew Hollywood really well, right? He made a lot of money out of this deal. Star Trek didn't get poorly served, but he did great. You know, I don't know.
I thought Roddenberry sold out entirely.
Rod Roddenberry did. Gene Roddenberry died with his dream and his honor intact. We lost him too young. That's the only thing I'd say.
Yeah, and when he died, the son basically says, "I'll take my lump sum."
The wife actually is all. The son is not of age, and the wife's in charge. Majel Barrett sees us forward until they start making that deal at the end of Enterprise that ends up and culminates with JJ taking over. And if she knew what JJ was going to say and do to Gene Roddenberry's memory, she would have sold it to someone else. In my opinion.
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
You never know.
Well, we've heard Rod Roddenberry act very bitter, and I pity him that he says he had a bad relationship with his father. That's absolutely terrible. But the world got Star Trek. How many other fathers and sons watched it together and grew closer? Rod Roddenberry's not seeing the big picture, but I understand why he's hurting. But he's really, really rich, so he's fair game. Fuck it.
What I find funny is they have the Roddenberry YouTube channel. Trying to think what it's called.
Is it somebody just supporting Gene Roddenberry's singular vision? Because Gene Roddenberry was pretty goddamn inflexible about how he saw the future.
Oh no, this is the official Roddenberry account.
Are they
Rod Roddenberry?
Is Rod Roddenberry? Well, I would imagine then it's in accord with the shows, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's sad.
So, they were reviewing the Orville.
Oh no, this isn't going where I think it is it?
From what I heard, they all had good things to say about it.
Thank God they were at least not that evil and stupid. That would have ended them if they'd said it was bad. Maybe someone told them to be measured. Why they would go there is beyond me. Fence mending with the fans. It's a good idea. It's a fence mend with your fans if you're going to keep putting on this bad Star Trek. Are they finally ready to accept their legacy fans back? Because I think they thought they could purge and regenerate fans.
They didn't even think that far ahead.
Oh, I seriously doubt it. Oh.
There's some stuff on the Star Trek 09 director's commentary where JJ says he's going to get rid of the old fans and get new ones because he's fixed this stupid Star Trek.
I just dismiss everything JJ says. All he cares about is his next paycheck.
Agree.
He doesn't really make big plans. Just con the next guy into giving him a check and go from there.
Hell, Apion.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, whatever it might be for
Wow, we're listening to the smooth sounds of Apion. Hey, Daniel.
you. Smooth
what's up, guys?
sound. Oh, you guys are talking about the Orville?
No, I haven't seen it very much.
We were talking about how the people who two of the executive producers from Star Trek watched it, and
Oh, yeah?
they reviewed it, and they were smart enough to be positive. They didn't attack it, which is what I was expecting to hear.
Which
Yeah.
probably means they're not currently under contract.
No, Rod Roddenberry's name is on Strange New Worlds, but any kind of non-disclosures he might have had may have ended. At the same time, he's not speaking against the other show, like the Star Trek show, and saying it needs to be better either. So I don't know what to make of it. Did you guys see the terrible news that New Trek propagandist channel, the Pop Brothers, the Popcast, got demonetized?
No, I didn't.
Was
I
there
forget who
any?
those people are?
They were the most. Captain, who are the Popcast?
Oh, God.
Exactly.
That says a lot.
They're a horror.
Trying to think
Watching
if I've ever
them.
listened to those guys.
They are basically undercover access media. And the reason that their YouTube strike was up there, now they have tweets out there so you can see it for yourself. But if I remember correctly, it was something about like they didn't see, like YouTube didn't feel that they had, YouTube felt they had other commercial interests or something like that, conflict of commercial interest. Or it was a weird violation, but I guess all YouTube ones are. Their other 3 channels are unaffected. They'll just move operations over there for a while, in my opinion. But it was an interesting tweet, especially because they are the most obnoxious lovers of Kurtzman track of all time. Unapologetically gaga over it. Just absolutely head over heels in love with it, giggling schoolgirl fashion. Cap, is that about right?
Well, it's not only that, because I could handle that if they weren't so vile toward anyone who doesn't agree with them.
Oh, they are smug and they are woke.
That's why I wouldn't have heard of them.
I have an
And-
obligation to listen to them, unfortunately.
And they are, anyone who disagrees with them obviously is not a true fan, because
Yeah, so what's going on, phony, right? Look at you trying to think you understand Star Trek when you can't. That's their attitude. And it permeates through every sentence. And then they say dumb things that we know aren't true a lot. They don't correct themselves. And it was shocking to see some of the people who went on there know names. But it wasn't shocking that Doomcock had nothing to do with them.
oh no, not at all. There were quite a few people who didn't want to have anything to do with them.
And 1 or 2 who seem to have either decided to throw in with the people who make the bad Trek that's less bad Trek, or the people who, had a better point of view. Like, I don't know. People who only saw 6 episodes of Picard might have an excuse, but some people were going on the Popcast like they didn't know what it was. I think it cost some people some stature going on there. Like, the only person with anything to gain by going on the Popcast is me.
Yeah.
I'll pick up 5,000 subs by being defiant. They'll never have heard. People go on there to listen to their propaganda.
Yeah.
I can't be the only one. And Captain Fandom Nerd will say this: I don't like the podcasts. I just have to listen to them because I have to deal in the world of Star Trek, and unfortunately includes a lot of garbagey new Trek. And I have to do my homework and I have to watch the shows, and it sucks.
And I know that there are people that genuinely like their streams, their videos, whatever.
You're being programmed, is my opinion, but you're allowed to like what you like. This person thinks that it's programming, and programming of an intolerant nature.
So what's going on, Apion?
Uh, Stark of Iron doing skits and shit, having fun, just being goofy as hell on his stream.
Cool.
I saw some of that.
Oh yeah, he was singing up a storm. He went like an extra hour because like the chat was pretty good, the view, and yeah, it's pretty fun. Yeah, so I didn't get too much sleep because it's pretty late, up pretty late with that, but I'm good. I am good.
Yeah, I saw Ranker Steve on there too, doing Daffy Duck this morning.
Yeah,
So
he did it. He
good,
did a good one. He did
good
a good duck.
stuff. Yeah, I didn't know who it was until the camera came on.
Yeah, I had no idea when he was like going to reveal who it was. I'm like, who could it be? Because I can't do a Donald Duck or Daffy Duck. I can't do any of that.
Oh no. Oh.
Bane is my only voice.
You know, doing voices is not something I'm able to do. I would love to, but just not one of my talents.
Yeah, and Tony's real good. He could like switch in between all his different characters that he's got in his repertoire.
I only do one voice. I fell into it.
Yeah, old man Picard.
Sometimes the Emperor, but yeah, mostly Old Man Picard.
Well, actually, you have a couple because you do George Lucas also.
I
Yeah.
do George.
Might have gone
forget
a bit too far in a few places.
Don't forget about George Lucas.
The thing about that is it's totally the opposite of how I talk. Like I've got some enthusiasm and I have you can tell I'm opinionated. With George Lucas, he's still opinionated, but he has like zero enthusiasm in his delivery.
Yeah, it's like that with like everything he talks about. He could be talking about something that he loves, but he's still like, yeah, I really love this. I get really emotional about it, as you can tell.
My first car was a Chrysler Imperial. I'll never forget how much I loved it. It had what they call self-deletion doors.
Like that's the only time he'll get like a little bit passionate talking about cars.
A little.
Self-deletion doors.
We don't want to say it.
I know
here.
that's pretty funny.
I think sometimes the censorship leads to humor. Howard Stern, when he was on the radio, couldn't say certain stuff, and then when he went to satellite radio, he could say it, and he was still funny. But all Blankadoodle Doo has comic value as well.
I would agree. I mean, when you are forced to be more creative, yeah, you can't just come out and say what something is called. It's like you got to be more creative, and it actually makes it more funny because most people understand what you're trying to say.
Yeah, like Yahtzees.
Mm-hmm.
Man. didn't get to see Culture's show this morning. What was he talking about today?
Oh, I'm trying to remember the stories he did this morning. I had to go back and watch the 6 Minute Daily,
Yeah.
which, of course, on Tuesday would last about an hour.
Hmm. So, Teague, are you doing a Saving Star Trek today at some point? What's going on with the agenda for today? Oh, he's got his mic muted. All right.
Well, going back to that thing you were talking about Rod Roddenberry, I think that I did read something where he did say that his father would recognize the JJ Trek as true Star Trek. I don't believe that. I think he was just saying that.
No, Rod Roddenberry. Yeah, it's not true, but Rod Roddenberry says what he needs to say because when he made his deal, what he said is, "I want the most money. And I don't give a shit about anything else." So he'll say whatever.
That's the funny thing. I mean, I don't know if he has any real understanding what Star Trek was all about. Even being Gene's son,
It seems
It's more of if he cares or not. He may understand it perfectly, he just may not give a crap because of his relationship with his father.
yeah,
I don't think he's watching much Star Trek if he has the relationship he said, right? So it was just some TV show that he conspicuously avoided, and then someone wanted to give him money for it, and on the assumption he inherited his father's business advisors, he was like, the only thing I care about is getting the most money, which he did. So now he'll say whatever he has to say. All I can tell you is all we have to go on is this. Gene Roddenberry had very serious, deep, ongoing problems and was ready to speak out against Wrath of Khan. Am I not right, Captain
Yeah, definitely.
Roddenberry?
He didn't like it because it was too militaristic. It wasn't his vision. He didn't like that. He didn't like Nicholas Meyer either, and Nicholas Meyer didn't like him. I can understand that. I can understand why Nicholas Meyer didn't like Gene Roddenberry.
I don't know. I don't understand why Gene Roddenberry didn't think Wrath of Khan was a good movie and couldn't make those last few concessions. But he got his TV show and his vision that he wanted out there, and we love the next generation. And Gene Roddenberry is a creator, but also like he was a collaborator. Like he doesn't invent the Klingons. He doesn't give us certain key episodes. He doesn't give us Khan. He allows that to be done in this canvas that he makes and lets other people paint on as well. And was perhaps we get this great painting. I mean, Harlan Ellison was hard to work with. We still got City on the Edge of Forever. But I think what Daniel has confirmed is like Gene Roddenberry hot under the collar about all Star Trek after Star Trek the motion picture on the screen, and sort of always in videos and stuff like that we see of him from like Star Trek conventions and stuff. He's sort of deflective of validating anything that he didn't do himself.
Yeah, he's jealous that they had Spock say the needs of the many at the end of Wrath of Khan. Like, I didn't come up with it, so it's not good.
Well, I do agree that, like Gene Roddenberry didn't like the militaristic nature of Wrath of Khan. That wasn't his idea. He wanted everything to be like, like TNG, how they just talk to the bad guys and the bad guys just leave. He didn't like Wrath of Khan, how Nicholas Meyer just, like the whole good versus evil thing. And in the end, the Enterprise just wiped out the Botany Bay and killed everybody on board. He didn't like that.
Yeah, but I understand that. and I can get why Roddenberry felt that way. So with that in mind, does he have any? Is there any way he likes this dark, horrible new Star Trek in anyone's mind here? Am I the only one who thinks Gene Roddenberry would back away in horror? Horror.
Yeah, definitely.
If they put his name on it, he would be 100% supportive on it. What he cared about was money and credit. As long as he had those two things, it overruled anything else in his mind.
Here's the thing: he didn't know the show that didn't have critical acclaim, real critical acclaim, and fan support. He's the first. Does anyone get brought back from being canceled before him? Doesn't he invent that?
No, that's pretty much a tradition.
We're only like 10, 12 years past the end of I Love Lucy. Only like 60% of America had TV. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know.
He wasn't the first guy to have the pilot bomb and then come back with something else.
No. I mean, be canceled and have the fans protest and write in and get his show brought back. I want someone to show me where that happened before 1968.
You know, that's one thing I haven't heard a lot of either. Is, you know, the network going, okay, we're going to cancel, and then fans writing in, and yeah.
I have pictures of a rather large protest outside the offices of the network.
What, the rich in their 60s?
Wasn't that I can't remember what network it was on. But uh
Is it in the SNL skit? Doesn't Belushi call it an NBC show?
yeah.
Do we have our answer, or was that just for purposes of that skit?
Well, I know that NBC did a lot of the airing of it, but since um anyhow, never mind.
I do believe it was NBC.
Yeah. But
You know what, guys? It was NBC, and I now have the picture. And wow, was this ever some protest? Cap, if you want to present the screen I'm sharing.
yep. Just waiting for it to pop up. There we go.
This is the protest to save Star Trek. And you can see they're protesting in front of the NBC building. Look how many people there are.
Couple hundred.
That's a
Not
lot.
too bad for the time.
Might even be 500. Might. However, there were student protests that also popped up in Burbank, San Francisco, and New York. The most famous one was organized at Caltech by the Save Star Trek Committee on January 6, 1968. Over 200 Caltech students, now that's Caltech alone, carried protest signs and torches and chanted some of these slogans you see in the photos, like saving Star Trek. So, you know what? people who would blame me for that one, you know what? You're gonna need a time machine if you think you can change saving Star Trek. I was around a long time, long time. Admiral Teague creates nothing. He only co-ops and destroys like Sauron. Look, here we go. Spock for president. You see this picture?
Yeah.
You see this? Here's the Caltech president telling him he hopes it'll be okay. They took this very seriously. Look at the protest in front of NBC. There's a lot of people. That's why I'm saying it might be 500. Well, if the photographer went for maximum impact, he could have asked people to compress. But if that shot, if you could pan one way and the other, you'll get to 500 pretty easy, I think. But there we have it. Let's try. Herb Solo in Inside Star Trek recounts that one of the college interns working at NBC Burbank approached his boss in January and told him the Saving Star Trek committee had plans to picket the studio. NBC had been picketed dozens of times. His intern informed him this time there are going to be a lot more. There was a national movement connected with this. Look at this. Look at this.
Wow.
So and here's the thing. After this, didn't we all see Gene Roddenberry say that Star Trek in part belonged to the fans? That the fans were part of it?
Yeah, I remember hearing that.
He was okay with people thinking that as long as he got the checks.
It wasn't about money, and it's still not about money. When the fans
Bullshit. It is all about money and credit for him. You just
glad he made
any
a lot
other
of money.
Any other suspect otherwise, you're just glorifying the obvious wrong situation.
What did Gene do wrong?
Particularly nothing egregious, but he cared about money and the credit. Thinking he's more magnanimous than that is just hero worship.
If he owns it and says that the fans own part of it and are part of it in his heart, we can still take that as a writ of authority to be able to talk about and pundit on his show, whether we like the current creators or not, because part of this belonged to us before anyone sold it to him, and maybe before Rod Roddenberry was born. So I don't care. I have a previous receipt. You can dispute it. I don't care. That's up for debate. But I have a previous receipt, and it's not a Mandela effect, is it?
Not that
I think that's reading a little bit too much into it.
You're allowed to feel that way. That's cool. That's cool.
Well, I like the fact we all have different viewpoints. I know that
Germ cannot be wrong about how he feels in his heart and his opinion, and I absolutely respect his right to say that to me.
Well, I mean, and I don't mean to pick on it, but I mean, Daniel's Hot Topics has some different opinions of Star Trek than I do.
Right, but his opinion on who owns it is a little closer to yours and mine. I think. Would you say you endorse my view of who owns it, right? Not in any legal way, not in any financial way, but you endorse that outlook on Star Trek, don't you?
Oh. The funny thing is, even with our differences, I still get along with everybody that's on this panel. So that's one of the. Oh, crap.
Well, this one comes down to a matter of opinion, so no one can be wrong. I'm saying that since I heard him say it, I'm going to take that, and I'm going to use that as validation that even if I don't approve of these current creators, I have every right to comment on it because this belongs to me in a way that's not financially viable towards me. I can't cash in Star Trek stock, but he gave it to the fans. He said it a few times. It's not a Mandela effect.
But you have every right to comment on whatever you want. That's just basic in this country.
Little
Yeah.
more, but a little
For
more
now.
on this than anything else. The Happy Days people didn't go out there and say, "This belongs to the fans." Please talk. Well, maybe they did too, but the New Trek people certainly don't say this belongs to the fans. We care about what you say.
No, I never heard them say that.
When Deep Space Nine wasn't really clicking, fans said they wanted it to have a ship and more better characters. What happened?
They got a ship
And Worf?
and Worf.
Sometimes the fans are right.
Because they believed that the fans owned the show in a way, and that the fans were the only ones who were going to make them able to be successful. They didn't think of the fans as a renewable resource, like we'll just build another oil well on our real time strategy game map and mine more fans. Doesn't fucking work that way.
Wouldn't it be nice if it did?
It would be highly useful, and we could just that seems to be the misconception that they've gotten into so much trouble under, right? They think that fans are a renewable resource, but they've given nothing to anyone to really be a fan over. It's got a Star Trek aesthetic, but it's never Trek like.
Okay, I have not played this in a long time, and I gotta see if I can find it. Just for you, Eric. Just for you.
Listen to me very carefully, because I'm only going to say this once. Coffee. Black.
Coffee. Black. While I've got your attention, there are...
Coffee first. Well, this mentor would like another cup of coffee. I'm just gonna have to give up coffee. Want some coffee?
If I'm not mistaken, that's your third cup this morning.
Fourth, and on a day like today, it won't be my last. Coffee. The finest organic suspension ever devised. Commander, set a new course. There's coffee in that nebula.
It's coffee.
I think a lot of people
That's
in the
great.
real military might agree that it gives it from realness. Like a military seems to run on coffee and cigarettes. At least World War II movie militaries.
Oh yeah.
Picard had his like chamomile tea or something, and she's
Earl
got her
Grey
coffee.
tea, hot.
Yeah, she's got her coffee.
Computer tea.
Tea Earl Grey.
I
Of course, what I find funny is in that show I don't recognize. They ask for decaf. Yeah, whatever.
I guess you could have Syntha coffee. Its effects are much like real coffee, but they're easily dismissed. I may need Synthahol to watch it again. Although, could you imagine if last week was the start of a trend and there's damage control and we see another non-offensive but blah episode? Like non-offensive but blah with a couple of laughs was the best they've ever been able to do. But that was the best single episode of New Trek ever.
They for sure won't go to another planet this next one.
Can they maintain the non-offensive nature for 2 stories in a row?
Nah,
I wish Deej was here. He's watching. He watches it. Captain,
Yeah.
what do you think?
It depends on how many producers they have and how many how many directors they have. Producers are the same, but
Yeah,
they have 2 directors. It may actually be good.
or a second
Or-
editor, right?
Yeah.
That seemed to be key, and they had 2 people on script for the only time ever in a
Mhm.
story that there were still a couple of problems, but it wasn't a fucking explosion of problems like usual. Dialogue was much better in this episode than any we've ever seen from this particular iteration of so-called Star Trek.
I'm not expecting anything, but if they did what they did last week. Um, it has the potential to be blah.
Let me put it this way. They didn't give us a lot to talk about in the sense of they didn't defame and destroy a character. They didn't canon bomb old Trek. The episode was just kind of almost a lark, and the episode is 51% successful in doing what it wants to do. And they were just too lazy to put their agenda too deeply in it. It was still there, but they didn't work it in there like they usually do. They only blow the messaging foghorn like twice in that episode instead of throughout.
Which is unusual.
If that happens 3 episodes in a row, we have to have a special Saving Star Trek where we discuss whether or not there's a trend towards less horrible new Trek, because that would be unknown territory. 3 inoffensive, we take it or leave it episodes in a row. Is this message getting through? Did the most destructive people step away? I don't get it.
We'll find out. We will
Still,
find out. Go ahead.
that's like saying something's bet. They're at this point. It's still dead. They're just not raping the corpse anymore.
Where are you on the Disney side of that equation?
Fuck Disney. I haven't paid attention to it in maybe 2 years.
I can't tell anyone they're wrong for that, but I will say this: Disney seems to actually, when I watched the season 3 of The Mandalorian, maybe was slightly worse than Star Trek, which is saying a lot. It's a judgment call.
Really
it's a sniff test that most people wouldn't go and eat the thing that smelled that way. But I mean, it's still, both are horrible. But The Mandalorian was actually maybe slightly worse because they had more money to be bad with, I guess. I don't know how to describe it. Lizzo and Jack Black. I mean, anyone want to try to help me out here?
And then Christopher Lloyd randomly in that episode as well. Just a
I think those
cameo
are cameos.
bonanza.
It's a bad year for people from Taxi, right? We've got also over on Star Trek, Carol Kane as idiot riddle
Weird ass
tweet
accents.
riddle idiot weird tweet talking alien.
She doesn't quite know what accent to do, so she just tries out like 20.
Daniel, where are you on this? Is there any way for anybody to figure out which show is worse?
What? Which ones? Which ones?
Say, let's say The
Mandalorian or Star Trek,
Mandalorian
right?
or these iterations of Star Trek. You can go with the full Disney Plus Star Wars thing and say, well, we got maybe Mando 3, or we got Book of Boba Fett or Kenobi. Is any of that? It's hard to say.
Yeah, it is hard to say. I don't know. I think
Star Trek might be slightly less.
Yeah,
bad.
it would be a little bit worse. I would say that Discovery would be worse than The Mandalorian, or even Obi-Wan.
Season 3 of Discovery is
I like that.
worse than anything else.
Well, it did introduce a new century, right? Which we saw a lot of people sorely needed to see that, because we were so sick and tired of the 23rd or the 24th. We wanted to see something new, right?
It also progressed forward with the Picard character to the point where he was in the 25th century.
Yeah.
So Buck Rogers is due any minute, guys.
Well, I'll give between those. I would give Mandalorian the credit because those are pretty much all original characters and settings, as Strange New Worlds is just ripping off essentially the Cage. It took the setting, it took characters, and sprinkled in a little bit new, but essentially they're ripping off more of the old.
That's why Kenobi was the worst for me because it's destroyed Darth Vader and it destroyed Kenobi at the same time.
I wasn't ready for that to happen and would have been shocked if it hadn't, but it was still very upsetting.
But I agree, Mandalorian had mostly new characters, the people from the Clone Wars, so it's not as damaging to the overall Star Wars. But
That might be true, but the thing is, the show itself was like understanding what was going on was literally nailing Jello to a wall. They didn't give any fucks about explaining themselves. Just like this will happen, then that happens, and that happens, and that happens. And
Dark Saber was completely pointless.
yeah,
They acted like
Yeah.
it was important, and then the bad guy just crushes it, and just like that's it.
What?
So much for that.
It was destroyed. I thought it united Mandalore.
For
No,
about 10
minute.
seconds.
Yeah, less
yeah,
than a minute.
Bo-Katan fought Moff Gideon, and he just destroys it.
Oh, I must have missed that.
Should we bring back Bryan Cranston as like Jedi Master Heisenberg to take care of this?
Take care of old Gus.
Well, I don't know if you got that far in Breaking Bad, but he
I know
was
about that scene.
Yeah. He's an early enemy to Heisenberg once he starts to take on the guise of Heisenberg.
Yeah.
Oh.
And we all loved him and do the right thing. I don't know. The Lizzo episode of The Mandalorian was slightly worse than the worst moments of Picard. Picard was upsettingly and horrible, but
It was so cringe when she knighted him.
Yeah.
She fucking knights Grogu, and all he did was help her cheat at this game of like space. What were they playing? Like,
Were they playing? It wasn't even
Croquet.
Sabak. It wasn't even
Yeah.
like an in-universe game we could care about. It was just dumb. There's a
it
card.
was like
there are
space
games.
cornhole.
Yeah, basically.
He used the Force to cheat for her, and she's like so impressed. She knights him. Whatever. Sir Grogu.
And a head-scratching final episode there.
Yeah, and they teased that she was gonna ride the Mythosaur, but that never happens either. So like the things that they were setting up, there's no payoff.
What about when they defeated Moff Gideon? That was spectacular.
Yep, just
Which
blows him up.
time? Which time?
They just blew him up.
Yeah, just blow him up.
Is he finally done? Like, there's just no way.
Well, you know, in Star Wars, is anyone truly dead? I mean,
Life.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe a
finds
clone.
way.
Maybe a clone survived.
yeah, because he did make like a bunch of clones of himself in their 60s. You know, why make young clones when you can make them all as old as you are then?
It's possible
Brilliant.
that one of the clones were hidden away. I mean, they killed all the clones in sight, right?
Yeah.
Was hidden.
That's where
Like
I
all
get
those
the
little tubes.
I think they're harvesting midichlorians from Baby Yoda to take the guy from Andor and shoot him up with them to make him into Snoke. Things
Yeah.
they're going to use because that's the actor who plays Snoke.
Yeah, like in one of the episodes, you see like the Inquisitor.
Ooh, you're
This is a thing now.
You roboted there. Can you
Okay.
repeat that?
Yep.
Oops. My mic's cutting in and out. Yeah, I was just saying, like in Mandalorian, why is it doing?
You're gone again.
You only did it for it seems to only
Hello.
last a microsecond. I hear you
Hello.
now.
Yeah.
Now you
So,
seem
yeah.
fine.
Yeah, like they have Jedis in jars, and like Moff Gideon just like, yeah, we're harvesting the Force from them, which was never a thing, but now apparently you can like
Predicted
harvest
it.
the Force and put it into other people. Like what?
I predicted it when I saw Baby Yoda. That was why the Empire when we find out the Empire
In
really wants
season
it.
1, that's what they said they're going to use Grogu before.
Yeah, and he
Yeah,
was
I
saved by
think they
Jar Jar
did do
Binks.
more than just tip their hand about it.
They used the actor that played Jar Jar Binks, and he was a Jedi with 2 lightsabers. And he's another Jedi that survived Order 66, by the way.
Yeah,
There's
Order
like 20 of
66
them now.
increasingly ineffective.
Yeah, it takes away the gravitas of that moment in Revenge of the Sith when there's like, oh, don't worry, the Jedi will be fine. There's like 20 of them out there still.
Could we have John Williams before he retires rescore Order 66 to instead of playing the emotional sweeping music, he plays the clownish music when people are messing up because he's the only Jedi dumb enough to get killed?
I mean, really.
Change it to having a comic tone.
I mean,
Or
start
like that
out
Benny
nice,
Hill song.
start out slow, and then
Yeah.
go more.
Yeah.
Fans
But
of
even
Indiana-
in the old canon, it is never completely Order 66 wiped them all out. It
No.
was the temple that fell. In Disney canon, what they did primarily was add the Inquisitors. There is still an Inquisitorius, but there wasn't some special.
Yeah, and I thought in the
Dark
Lord
Jedi
Darth
hunters.
Vader went and hunted him down himself, like the remaining ones
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
survived the original culling. He went around and was finishing them off.
Yeah, Obi-Wan
Yeah.
tells a really fucking horrific and pretty close-ended story. He's like, we're fucked. We got fucked over by this half-robot asshole. He's a fucking asshole, and he killed all of my friends.
Yeah, they enslave all the Wookiees on Kashyyyk. They turn their planet into like a big, basically war machine
yeah,
for their war efforts. Like,
should we call it a super focusing camp?
Yeah.
yeah, the whole planet. You all belong to us now. You guys are good at labor. We got some work for you.
We'll have some fun building our weapon.
Got a choice labor area. You choose to do the labor, you choose to live.
God, and then in Andor, they had like the prison on Andor, and they were building like the parts to the Death Star, and I'm just like, oh,
You
enough.
could feel it. Yeah, it was really cheap, and it was also trying to funnel in and commingle OT and sequel trilogy storylines together, coming at it from like an OT timeline.
They're like, look, it all connects. Look, they're working on the Death Star.
And when do we divert someone to have special room where they make Star Killer base parts? Because that's supposed to be under construction under the new Disney canon.
Yeah, and then you also have those thousands of Star Destroyers with Death Star beams under the ice of Exegol. Like, when did they make all those?
Okay. Well, let's
There's
not get ahead of
so
ourselves.
many.
That's those people
So
are all
ridiculous.
magical Sith people.
Yes, I just magically willed the Star Destroyers into existence. So why'd you need an army in the first place? Oh, I don't know.
How do you feed all these people? Oh, the other side of this planet is a paradise with a wheat field that covers the entire surface. Small lake filled with very nutritious fish.
They can eat my old Snoke bodies in jars.
That's been
I have no
suggested.
further need for them.
That's been suggested by a few people. Like, what do they eat? Like Snoke?
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
Snoke's
Snoke for dinner
surprise.
again. Yeah.
Snoke.
Oh, we had Snoke yesterday.
Surprise.
So tired of Snoke.
Well, I don't think they're going to disintegrate him, and I don't mean that in the classical sense. Like, I don't think they're going to disunify him or remove him from Disney canon, but I think maybe the Halcyon will get removed. It was in there for a minute at every major event, and now they're just going to move on from that.
So right, they said Han Solo and Leia got married on there and shit.
Right.
To, like, tie it to lore. Yeah, no.
And everything else, like Jabba the Hutt took it for a trip to buy some space coke.
Or Pepsi. Or Pepsi.
Or Pepsi. Or some of what a few more frogs to put in his bowl.
Solo.
To put it I know that laugh.
Got to thank Jabba the Hutt for giving us Carrie Fisher in the epic.
Yeah, I thank you,
Dave Grohl
Jabba,
outfit.
for your service to my youth.
Yeah.
I recently rewatched that movie in cinemas, and it was messed up. It was messed up because of seeing Book of Boba Fett.
Right.
and it
Mm-hmm.
was messed up from Kenobi.
Mm-hmm.
Like when Jabba's gonna throw them all in there, and we see what's inside the Sarlacc pit in Book of Boba Fett, and all that nonsense, and how easily he beats it. Um, that starts going through my mind as they're having the fight on the speeders and the sail barge over the mouth of the Sarlacc pit. I'm like, well, if he throws all our heroes in there, they'll fuck that thing up in no time. And the only difference in this movie is the time frame of leaving Tatooine is moved back an hour. Just
Boba Fett.
Maybe two. Maybe
Yeah,
Boba
two.
Fett couldn't even
time
be
to
a
go.
blind Han Solo.
They will all show up at Jabba's palace with an ugly makeover, right? Because that's what happens to you in the Sarlacc pit. And then they just go in and walk in there and just blast their way through the hallway and blast Jabba a few times. And they're like, all right, now let's go to Sullust. And that's the end of the movie. It's the end of that part of the movie. Just Jabba's plan was stupid now. And that goes through my mind.
Yeah.
You will be digested for 1,000 years in the almighty Sarlacc.
And we see Jedi super breath holding in the prequels. So
Oh, Lord.
he would have been able to function inside the Sarlacc pit before he needed to inhale the gas for a long time. Long enough to force choke the shit out of that wimpy Sarlacc monster.
He comes back with the personal transport one, and he just shoots the shit out of it with the seismic charges and stuff.
Well, he doesn't even pull that. Like what happens is when he starts to shoot, it grabs him, so he only misses with his blasters. And then for some reason, his weapons council is really far away from where he sits. He's rearranged the ship so that he can't fly it himself, and Fennec has to like climb over there. And she decides that the best thing she can do is release a seismic charge, which doesn't drop cleanly because they're not positioned to do it, and is stuck on the back of their ship until just the right moment. Through no agency of Boba Fett, the Sarlacc pulls him the wrong way, knocking the seismic charge off the back of Living Wage 1 and into its own pit and blowing it up. So Boba Fett had no real... Aside from bringing his ship there, trying to kill it, he himself, everything he did was ineffective. The Sarlacc accidentally self-deletes.
Yes.
No match. It's no match for Luke, Han, and Chewie. It's not. It's not anymore. It's not. Stop. If it gets one of them, the other two still fuck it up. Terribly. Terribly. So yeah,
and the end of that movie is completely ruined by Rise of Skywalker.
And Kenobi
and Rise of Skywalker for sure. Though the second Palpatine showed back up, I'm like, okay, so Darth Vader shouldn't have died. Then makes no sense. His life force was attached to Palpatine's. Then when Palpatine was still alive, he should have not died. Then
when they threw him down the energy, when they threw him down the shaft in the Death Star 2, in my mind I heard like, "I'll be back."
Yeah, and I guess you could say, "Oh, he took his helmet off."
The last of
but,
me.
Yeah, right? Like the robot chicken Palpatine.
I will prevail. Yeah, he is the robot chicken Palpatine now to me. Scene where he orders the turkey clubs is to me canonical, just off camera.
Man,
it's a better Star Wars story than The Last Jedi.
Oh man, anything's better than that, unfortunately. And that was the pinnacle of shitty movie going for me. That was the worst theater experience of my life.
Hello, Ken Jack Ben.
Hello.
Now there's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
Obi-Wan.
Yeah, maybe that's my gift. I can do geriatric characters.
We have so many of them now. You got to work on your Indiana Jones geriatric Jones.
Listen to me, crazy
bitch. I don't know. It's hard to do. It's that just sounded like an old Nicolas Cage. I'll have to work on. I'll get back to that. Back to the drawing board.
I've seen voodoo magic, the Holy Grail, aliens, but I still don't believe in magic.
He's like Perry White from Man of Steel and
It's
Batman.
water wet.
In Batman versus Superman, it's like this man has seen aliens come from the sky and destroy a city, and they're like, I think there's a guy dressed as a bat down by the docks. He's like, that's preposterous, Kent.
Yeah, and they even established that Batman literally brands people with his logo.
But I mean, Perry White did not believe that there's a Batman.
That's what I'm saying.
Has he never looked
Batman's
across
literally
the
leaving
river?
evidence on every person.
Not to mention, you can see the bat signal from Metropolis.
They have a fucking signal in the sky.
He's never looked at. He's a terrible news reporter. He's like, looks up over at the sky and he sees the bat signal and he's like, I wonder who the Kansas City Royals are starting at first tonight. Doesn't give a fuck. What do you think the headline? What do you think the headline was in the Daily Planet the day after the Kryptonian invasion? Anybody?
Water wet. Another day in Metropolis, huh, folks?
And then underneath it, bullet points. Nickel pencils aren't a nickel anymore, right? Or apples aren't a nickel anymore.
If you can find a newspaper stand to read this, still, we got some news for you.
The Daily Planet is like, what kind of information do they put out there? If you're faced with a radical building collapse, the best thing you can do is stand in front of that building, watch it come down. Do not run away.
And then they had to add that Batman was there in Batman v Superman. Yeah, he was there watching Metropolis fall.
Didn't they also add the Flash rescuing some people? Like, they will not back off that there was damage minimization during this attack.
Just it's like
Superman.
You're adding more and more Justice League members that were there, and the destruction was still terrible. You're not improving things.
Well, Wonder Woman wasn't there. Oh, the Flash was there. Batman was there.
Wonder
Woman was not there.
Wonder Woman's kind of there in the sense that she works in Gotham, right? No, she works in. Wait, it's worse. She works in Metropolis. She just didn't give a fuck. She's like, I'm trying my.
She was somewhere. She was around. She could have been there to help.
Zod, no.
Yeah, Kal-El. I like when she
Wait,
says
Wonder
that.
Woman works in Metropolis?
Isn't in BVS? I think that. She does work at DC, but she's hanging out in Metropolis.
Well, in the 80s, she was able to harness lightning and use the lasso to fly, basically. So she's had that ability for like 20 years. She could have got over there in a quick minute.
She definitely could have pulled off a few moves. She chose not to interfere.
She wanted to wait till Doomsday showed up. She's like, this threat, this Zod guy, nah. When the next big monster comes, I'll help. 3 Kryptonians. Kal-El's got it.
It's so sad we'll never see the DCEU characters like those versions ever again.
Well,
not really.
Yeah, those actors unfortunately got caught in a mess. Zack Snyder is not.
We still got Aquaman.
Back. Yes, one more Amber Heard movie in the pipeline, guys.
No more Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. No more Henry Cavill as Superman. This sucks. Kind of.
Well, they got too expensive. Warner Brothers can't afford it anymore.
I think that Henry
shooting
Cavill
himself in the foot, and
I disagree. Henry Cavill had shown a willingness to come back. I think he would have shown a willingness to negotiate, and maybe even a willingness for royalties over salary. Jack Nicholson's still getting paid from Batman.
Good on him. He made smart business decisions with that one.
I love the pictures of him swimming out past the breakwater near his boat. And he's like got his sunglasses on and he's smoking while he just like kind of treads water. And he's 88 or something like that. I want to be him.
Oh man. Yeah, Wonder Woman fucking shows up in Shazam 2, and God, that was bad. That was the last time she pops up. What's up?
That movie was a waste of time, Shazam 2.
Oh, yeah. The first one was way better. The second one was annoying. The little crippled kid was fucking an asshole still and kind of annoying ass character. Like, I'm sorry that you're disabled, but it doesn't give you a right to be a dick. That movie was awful. Yeah, the superhero fatigue is kind of setting in for these movies. Like, they're not doing like enough like creatively new shit that you've never seen before. It just all kind of looks like generic shit.
It
Yeah.
could be. It could be a perfect
And that's the
storm.
problem.
Yeah.
It's not it's not the genre itself that's buckling, it's the quality.
Yeah, they just don't know anything creative really to do with these characters. They're just like, oh, let's have them fight like action figures, just bash into each other a few times. People will love that. Like Black Adam was a mess of a film. Black Adam was just not good.
That's the best quality DC movie they've made.
Black Adam?
Yeah.
Oh,
they're not all. None of them are really good.
Yeah.
But Black Adam was the most coherent.
Okay. I do like it more than Aquaman 1. Well, Wonder Woman 1 was okay of a movie. 84 was a train wreck travesty.
Wonder Woman 1 was too much like the first Captain America.
Yeah. Man of Steel. What else was there?
Man of Steel was outright bad.
Nobody liked him snapping Zod's neck. that created a freaking.
I thought it was kind of cool when he
uproar.
snapped on his neck. I was like, yeah, that was so cool.
Right? Like
you need to build up Superman more. He has to be more of an icon on Earth at that point for him to actually lose to Zod like that and it matter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they just wanted to rush everything with that.
And in a movie that long, they rushed everything. And this Superman goes by Kal-El. He should be like, "Fuck you, call me Clark. I'm from Kansas."
But was he losing to Zod because he was, Superman?
The fact that he killed Zod means Zod won.
No, but dude, Superman always holds back. He could
Yeah.
one shot everybody,
And
but he's always holding
Zod
back.
forced. It's not the fact that Zod was physically beating him. The fact that Zod forced Superman to kill Zod means Zod defeated him.
So let that family die.
That's what he was trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? That might be true, but that just shows how fundamentally broken a situation Zack Snyder put Superman and
Yeah, and Metropolis was completely destroyed too. He fucking lost.
There was multiple skyscraper collapses.
Oh yeah, thousands and thousands of people dead, maybe millions. Like,
what would the body count be? 150,000 to like 500,000 people on that one?
Yeah, definitely.
They take out the equivalent of all of Manhattan.
Yeah, and you also have
downtown.
It's also his fault too, because he kind of destroyed the ship, and then the ship crashed into Metropolis, which was kind of Superman's fault too. Like, everything was
Denny's in Smallville.
Smallville got wrecked.
No one ever rebuilt that Denny's. No one talks about that. That ginger guy went back to being a bully after that. No one talks about how that Superman fucked a lot of people up that day. There's like 3 different disaster fights. There's Smallville, there's Metropolis, and they fight somewhere else too.
They go into space, I think, and destroy a satellite.
Yeah. And is that the one where we use
And then the debris of the satellite comes crashing down to Earth, so that probably killed some
on
people wherever
Metropolis.
it landed.
On Metropolis.
Right.
It
That had to
crashed
kill
on
some more
Metropolis.
people.
Metropolis, a
chaos.
magnet for space garbage.
Yeah.
Just position like a proton gun there. It's like it's gonna come eventually.
Oh man. And then they tried to like clean it up in like Justice League or Batman v Superman. They're like, yes, we're gonna fight at the docks. It's an uninhabited area. It's like, okay.
My favorite part of Batman v Superman is that when Zod makes the transmission that of information that's useless to us, but it's edged Lord talk, and we see people seeing his transmission, and he chooses to do this in his most unappealing guise, in his most evil-looking suit, as glitch art, and he's like, "There is one of you. You will not know that he is not like you, but he is not like you. Give him to us, and we will spare you." So find the one that you cannot detect. I mean you no harm. Just do the impossible, and I will spare you. I intend to be your friend. And then while he says that, it's like every device in the world, like people see it on their phones, and it's dark in America, and it's dark in Africa, and it's dark in Australia, and it's dark in China, and it's dark in Russia, and it's nighttime everywhere. Explain how he managed to pull that one off.
And I always thought alien technology.
He was able to make it night on the whole planet at once.
I mean, he did bring a device that he was going to terraform the whole world, right? So
that's another questionable decision. It's like our planet was a shithole with flying dinosaurs, and this one's like a park. Let's fuck it up. Why bother?
And we have superpowers here. We're more godly than we have ever been.
I would
Let's weaken ourselves.
Yeah, I'd be like, excuse me, Zod. Why not leave the Earth like this since you're already used to it? It only took you 6 minutes instead of years of pain, like you said.
Just a deep breath.
Take the L on that
now.
one. Why don't we send these world engines to Mars and make that like Krypton? Since it's a shithole anyway. Because this planet's already pretty nice. Duh.
Yeah, you're being powered by the
he
yellow
wanted
sun.
to terraform the planet. If he terraforms the planet, they won't have any powers. If they turn it into Krypton, if they turn it into Krypton, they won't have any powers.
Then we can start on hollowing out the core.
Brilliant plan.
No, seriously. You've got a world building engine device, right? Why not take the L? Say to the people of Earth, like, maybe we were a little too harsh, and we're sorry it was nighttime on your planet all at once at that one day that Zack Snyder couldn't be bothered. Couldn't think about physics. No, that's his level of detail. Like, how is it nighttime in China and America at the same time? That's not how it works. Is Zack Snyder trying to advance flat earthing, or is he just a bad filmmaker? Yeah. That was bad. Like, you sit there in the movie, like, wait a minute, why is it dark in China and Africa and America?
Or maybe here's an idea. What if Zod's ship went in front of the sun, kind of creating an eclipse?
Mm-hmm.
That would have to be so much bigger than the ship from Aliens, from Independence Day Resurgence, though. When we see it, it's not. It's like 2 aircraft carriers at best.
Yeah. Yeah, if he created an eclipse, that would explain the world darkness.
Is the ship called Phantom Zero? Right? That's Zod's ship. It's Phantom Zero. That ship is like maybe like 2 World War II aircraft carriers.
So did they build that in the Phantom Zone? How did they get that ship?
I think that's
they explained the world engine. They found it, right? They found the world engine on a planet they used to explore. But how'd they get that ship?
The ship itself was sent into the Phantom Zone with them.
Yeah,
that's nice of them. There's a nice ship for you.
They cut that. They don't tell us that on screen in even the longest version of the movie. I think what happens is
in the beginning of the film, they send the ship itself with all the rebels into the Phantom Zone.
Wow.
I'll have to watch and see if I can catch that part because I thought they were just leaning on the cartoon. I thought they were just leaning on the cartoon for us to understand it was there because Jor-El makes the speech. He's like, we can restore ourselves later, And I think Brainiac overrules him. He's like, no, we'll keep on just like sucking the energy out of our planet's core and it'll be fine.
It'll be fine.
Critical Drinker's in. Yeah, it'll be fine.
It'll be fine. Don't know.
Wouldn't that be great if we could meme that right into the movie? Like some filmmaker should do that in the meta. It's like when their film is tanking out, the characters watching Critical Drinker, you just hear, how they do it, don't know. And like they throw the phone down on the bed and the movie just continues.
Zack Snyder just wanted so badly to get to Injustice, like evil Superman. He wanted it so badly.
I wonder
that's what the first proposal was.
Yeah.
I wonder
you
if
can tell.
Politics from the other side of the spectrum than we're used to from him didn't prove that politics in movies is bad in general and that people like observation and commentary more than judgment, because there's a case to be made from things that he said later that are pretty kooky that I wonder don't inform how his Superman acts. He said that he wanted to make an Ayn Rand Fountainhead movie. and that was like something he really like dug. And more power to you if you like that. But maybe Superman who doesn't help anybody sound like something that maybe was a political choice, because that hurt the movie. A compassionate Superman improves that movie a lot.
Kevin Costner, his dad, told him, you can't save people. Let me die into this tornado. Okay.
Raised by a piece
Thanks.
of shit. I was happy when he died.
I know you could stop this right now and save everyone, but just let me go.
He Han soloed him. He's like Kylo Ren did as much. It's like, well, and you didn't have to be super fast to save him for the longest time. That was the slowest tornado.
And I liked how in like the original, like his dad gets like a heart attack, and it's something that Superman can't stop. It's
Yeah.
it's something that he can't fight. So it's like that's a kind of a perfect way to do a tragedy like that. Not have a fucking tornado that he could easily just deal with and just like stand there and watch me go. It's like, what?
Superman has never been a self-identified alien who lets his father die before.
So that's the
It
first
may
time
have
they've
been
done
just
that.
to
Oh.
pretty much. It could have been his subtle way of trying to point them toward injustice.
Superman sees himself as a human who came from another planet, more or less. He sees himself as one of us. Absolutely, is one of us. He's an Earthling in his mind. He just has a different origin. When you address the people of Earth, you're also talking to Superman. He doesn't think he's like, oh, okay, the people of Earth are fucked. I can survive. I'll fly through space to another habitable planet. He's like, fuck, gonna save
And
the
you ever
rest of the
wonder
team.
why?
Go ahead, David.
I think it's because he was raised right by people who taught him to care, unlike
I know that,
in
but-
Man of Steel.
Do you ever wonder why Superman wins all the fights? And he's holding back. That's why he's losing at first. That's why he's losing. But then when he cuts loose, he just demolishes everybody.
Oh, in Man of Steel?
Yeah. It's because okay, like how old
And
is he?
as they power up, he gets stronger against
I know
them
that,
anyway.
but how? Yeah, I know, but
It's
how
weird.
old? How old is Clark Kent in Man
They
of Steel?
say he's 33 while he's standing in front of the picture of Jesus. They say it, I think.
All right, so he landed on Earth when he was a baby. He's absorbed 33 years of the sun's radiation, right?
Right, exactly.
So he has he's powered up, and Zod just got there. So
And
Superman
the
is
hormone,
way more powerful than Zod. Superman's a god
Right.
compared to Zod.
and we have but the weird thing there is that super scientist Jor-El is a decent soldier, and super soldier Zod, he's working on the sciencey idea, where he's like, we can't just come here and breathe the air on your planet because we'll be in pain for years. And then after he finds out it's only a temporary 10-minute thing, I mean, he's out Supermaning Superman pretty quick. He's a match for Superman in 8 or 9 minutes. Superman is a klutz, and we show him learning to fly where he clips a mountain and does some other stuff and crashes a couple of times until he gains confidence in one of the better parts of the movie. And then we undo that where Zod figures it right out. Daisy Ridley. He's a Gary Stu, Zod.
And they try to explain it where he's like, I was born fighting. I was a warrior my whole life. Where did you learn how to fight? On a farm? And you got all that. And,
where did they learn how to write that? On a farm?
I guess their point is Superman never fought anybody that could actually hurt him before. So maybe that's why he wasn't.
Chris Terrio had his chance.
But then when he fights Zod, he had already fought an Ursa and the other big dude. So he did fight some jacked people before that. So they did really, it's pretty stupid.
Ken Jackman is making a point here. Let's see if I can catch it. Superman is one of my most favorite characters, and I hate it when they get him wrong. Maybe he thinks Superman is supposed to be the Nietzsche version of Superman Uber a-hole that helps no one. Superman says to Darkseid in Final Battle at the end of Justice League Unlimited, I have a feeling there's another one in the pipeline. We're going to pay attention to that thought.
Yeah,
it looks like I like where Ken Jackman is going. We approve of multi-comment thoughts. You're allowed to make a thought, and we will work with you on the inherent misspellings that happen on this. If you understand that we are inherently more dyslexic than normal, because reading off the screen is just, guys, am I wrong? We can't adjust the font size on ScreenYards.
No.
Yeah. The Duck of Death, as we call him.
Yeah. What Ken was saying, it reminds me of the evil Superman from Superman 3. The dick one that's drinking at the bar, and then he goes and straightens out the Leaning Tower of Pisa. And he's just going around the world fucking up
Being a
everything.
dick.
Yeah,
Like the Superman who
a
takes
dick.
people's trucks and stacks them onto a telephone pole in Man of Steel,
Yeah.
where he's super asshole.
So petty. He could have handled that. He could have handled that situation so many ways. He just
Throw a limited superhuman punch. Don't hurt, don't break him, but
flick him. Flick
Yeah,
him with
you've
one
got-
finger.
if you really hurt him, your X-ray vision will tell you whether you should call an ambulance.
It's like, no, I want to do something that looks truly supernatural. I'm gonna stack all these.
And then he
no, he
wants to-
shoves. Doesn't he like shove like a tree or a giant log through it
he
too? or
takes
something?
them all and drops them over like a telephone pole,
Oh, okay, that's what the
and
pole
like
is,
makes
yeah.
a truck kebab out of them, and it's like those the guy's livelihood.
Truck kebab, really. Though.
And then when they all walk out, no one's really that surprised. Like, someone destroyed all the trucks again by making a truck kebab.
Yeah, that's a
Oh,
great
here we go.
Superman line.
Ken Jack Ben. Oh, all right, let's see. Arabic Sanders says he puts the nose back on the Egyptian.
Yeah, he
he
just goes around
thanks,
fucking
yeah.
with all the world, all the wonders of the world and stuff. Just
Wouldn't it be great if
screwing
he,
with
he uses his laser vision to draw a big dick on the side of the fucking pyramids? Ken Jack Ben says, I feel like I live in a world full of cardboard, always taking care to never lose control, even for a second, or someone could die. I guess that's Superman's state of mind.
Yeah.
That's the quote he has in the final episode
Yeah.
of Justice League Unlimited when he's
Yeah,
fighting
it
the
ends
Dark Side.
with-
really good line.
Arabic Sonder then says statue Sphinx. By the way, is it me or is he sort of like super like conservative Superman, like doing something like they won't show him saving people? That movie has a hostility. Does he save anyone but Lois
In what?
in the Man of Steel? He doesn't
Yeah, he
save
saves
anyone.
the people on the oil rig.
That's it though. That's
Yeah.
that's it for saving people. During the attack on the city, he doesn't do anything to help anyone.
Yeah, I think that they don't. Yeah, I don't think
And
they
he's
do a
not
montage
that-
of him saving
doesn't-
cats from trees and shit.
How about when he used his super speed to save all those people in that? Oh, that's right, he didn't bother. Yeah, there's sorry
I'm
about
trying
that.
to think
movie.
when he saves people. I'm like, does he not?
If you eliminate Lois, it gets really hard. He does stop the fire, but that's before he forms his Superman philosophy of I don't care about people. That it comes from his father, Kevin Costner. Kevin Costner is now Hilter's father. And by the way, when Lois dies, we know that Superman's going Hilter on us. It happens in every iteration of this story. Once Lois dies, no matter what, he blames it on all of us and ruins the entire world. We've seen what happens in Bruce's dreams.
Yep.
And those are confirmed by the Flash being there, pretty much. Although I don't know if the Flash movie bothers to justify that. Is there an
Never
old
come up.
Flash? Is there an old Flash with a beard?
There's like an ancient one that's
Okay.
like covered in spikes and stuff, and he's like all
Yeah.
mutated. But
Is he only aging because he reappears for the conflict and ages through the conflict? So his
He's-
every
yeah.
Well, he's
moment
been,
of his
like,
life
for
is
hundreds-
at
Spent
war.
there for like hundreds and hundreds of years in the Speed
Yeah.
Force trying to stop Zod or something. But like, if you want to
Yes.
stop Zod, then why don't you get back into the universe and stop him?
Well, dare I say that one could have sent the weird message to Bruce, though. Like, oh no, I'm at the wrong time. You were right about ambiguous. You should ambiguous. And he's like, huh? And then he just disappears. Remember?
It doesn't come up at all.
when Batman deletes himself,
I'm-
that scene broke me, man.
I'm
So
sure they
stupid.
completely forgot about anything that happened in any of the previous movies
All I'm going to say
or
is
anything in the Flash.
they don't
Yeah.
they don't conjure it up, but they don't decant like we see a Flash that could have done it, right? we do see an older Flash then.
The only older Flash they show is outside of the other multiverses or other universes that are just like snapshots.
Right.
Is the Flash that basically has been jumping into the fight with Zod over and over again.
We'll call him
aging
Respawn.
maybe 20 minutes at a time.
But he's older. Yeah, he's Respawn Flash. How about we call him Respawn Flash? Respawn Flash could have sent that message. He had time. He could have said, before one respawn, I'll send a message. I'll go back 35 seconds earlier, 100 miles away. Because he would have been cool, and he could have been there a second later. So Respawn Flash could have sent the message. I'm just saying, like, they're not trying to, like, work their way out of the Snyderverse. It looks like they want to hard end it and start over again.
I hope it still exists, though, somewhere in the multiverse. I hope they didn't, like, delete it or anything. I mean, why would they? They have
there is no deleting stuff like that. It's just
ever really
it happened. They can go back whenever they see fit.
Yeah.
Poor Christopher Reeve was fucking pulled out of his grave in a move that makes me sick.
A lot of people don't like that. They're like, "Oh, what poor taste."
He said not to do it in his life. I've been told by too many people. I haven't seen the video, but I've seen other stuff that makes me think that he would be outspoken against that.
And then Nicolas Cage did more than him. They actually had Nicolas Cage fighting a spider and shit.
Yeah,
I'm gonna fuck the spider.
Well, they had the work to. They had the leeway to work with that. Everything with
they had the spider from Wild Wild West. So just
lifted.
reload that file.
Wow, West.
What about the George Reeves Superman cameo? I like that. I thought it was really cool. They show his universe and they show George Reeves Superman, and then they show a Flash that exists in his universe, a Jay Garrick version.
Yeah,
it's so cool.
And I like that. I like the little Adam West one.
Yeah, one of the bands is the 40s Batman as well.
Enjoy it, because you know what? Since it didn't do so great, we won't change its fate or its perception. So go ahead and enjoy it. But we definitely need to wipe the slate clean or set our house in order. And we have seen no signs of what we would call story damage control. The only big stories have happened outside the Batman and Superman and shit like that get mentioned in the movie that works, but we got one working functional movie, Suicide Squad 2.
Yeah,
that's iffy.
But it's intact compared to the other ones. Like Wonder Woman, actually, on review, if you rewatch it, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Her best movie is BVS because she has like 18 minutes of. She mostly just fights on screen and has like only like 90 seconds of speaking.
Hello, no.
That's a reshoot too.
I think that's from Justice League. Yeah,
that's from Justice League. The Justice League.
Yeah.
The Snyder version is like a baby. Kal-El. No,
man, wasn't it insane watching the Snyder cut and watching Wonder Woman kill all those robbers at the beginning? She literally kicks a guy so hard into the wall, he just splatters like
in front of children.
And I'm like, in front of children, I'm like, whoa! Wonder Woman's not taking no prisoners.
My favorite part is when she wraps the lasso of truth around the guy. She says, "Who are you?" And he goes, "I'm a counterinsurgent." And I'm like, "Wait a minute, you think you're right? Why would you call yourself that?" Wouldn't your truth be that you're a rebel or an insurgent, not a counter? You wouldn't take on the. It's like if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
That's like
that whole part was goofy as hell.
That's like if we put one on a Yahtzee and he goes like, "Who are you?" It's like, "I'm an evil bad guy." It's like, no, you're not really aware of that part of it, dude. That's not your truth.
It's an interesting way for Zack Snyder to try and justify Wonder Woman just destroying them. Blows up the final guy with her bracers. Just leaves a pile of ash in a hat. Yeah.
And you see that
all of them pretty much.
That's the thing. Justice League makes it confusing because Joss Whedon takes the brain splatter off the wall.
In his, she doesn't do as much killing,
Well, they might not be dead because their heads don't blow up when they hit the wall. It's still pretty fatal.
She disintegrates the last guy, the main dude.
Oh, no, wait. I thought she
and a lot of cops.
I think in the Joss Whedon, she knocks him out, but in the Snyder cut, she uses the bracers and blows
up the entire front of the building. And she blows up, and it blows up all over the cops.
Oh yeah, like a sci-fi.
Yeah. I was wondering about that. I was like, did she blow him up or did she knock him up? Because she blew up the entire that whole chunk of the place, right? And you saw his hat.
He was standing there. Yeah.
My sub count's gonna go down when I say this. Just forget about the stuff in the Snyder cut. It's not canon. It's only Justice League that's canon.
There is no canon for it anymore. ending
Right.
the run.
He wasn't very good with his own canon keeping.
Wait,
anyway.
that's debatable because I'm hearing that they're selling it to Netflix.
They may
They're
want
selling
to,
the
but
Snyderverse to
Netflix isn't going to buy.
And how is Warner going to let that happen? Because they kind of like Warner Brothers and like HBO Max kind of have don't they have all the DC stuff under wraps there? They're going to let him
Yeah.
have his own DC on Netflix.
How about maybe they're leasing it?
Yeah.
That sounds more likely to me.
That would be.
I could see that happen because they probably need some money.
Looks like I'll do.
Netflix.
Oh yeah, they're almost as bad off as Paramount is.
Netflix just lost all their Marvel.
They did?
Yep.
Oh.
It's all
Like 2
on
years ago?
Disney Plus now. Yeah, they still had some in the pipeline, so we saw it up until more recently than that. But it's been on the wall and it hasn't changed. And
Daredevil was so good.
we're getting She-Hulk Daredevil.
Yeah. God, when he showed up in She-Hulk, it was so depressing to watch. Like the Godfather scene. Look how they massacred my boy.
Yeah. Can you imagine us all, the 5 of us, just standing around the table?
When he
happy
did the
on,
walk of shame with the carrying his boots in his hand, I was
something
no!
a woman does.
The man does not walk in his bare feet.
You put your shoes, and also you're not ashamed either. You're like high-fiving and whistling.
And why is he still in his why is he still in his armor? There was so many things wrong with that. God.
He had options.
And then at the end, she literally uses the Kevin bot to just summon him out of the sky. He literally just falls out of the sky to be at her like little barbecue. So he has no free will now.
I'm curious as to what anyone thinks about this. Was the Kevin episode written after he was like, "This is terrible, you're fired, no season 2, finish the run of the show"?
I don't know. Like I heard that like Jessica Gao talked to him and like she was like, "We're gonna put the hat on the robot and everything." Like she was telling him,
I don't see how
like
he's shown no signs of being like a good sport.
Right? It doesn't make him in a good light when you portray him as a fucking soulless robot.
I guess I've cucked everyone else. I'd better let you cuck me.
I don't like that blood plot. Get rid of it.
The way
Okay.
the Flash ended was weird. Like the multiverse just smashed into each other. And remember, when you saw people floating outside of their universes,
Mm-hmm.
they were in the Speed Force.
Well, is it the multiverse just to get around time travel? Because that's just a mess that no one can explain or care about.
Pretty much. But
And there goes
the
any
implication
reason to care
was
about
that the Flash's actions was what was spawning those universes and destroying those universes.
Yeah. Salty Trigger keeps on telling, remember he said like, oh yeah, the Flash created the multiverse in the first place because he went back to save his mom. That's where we get the Christopher Reeve Superman and the Michael Keaton Batman, But then if he was creating the multiverse, why is it smashing into each other?
Because it wasn't stable to begin with.
Yeah, and every time he kept going back, it kept getting more and more unstable. When that future Barry, the one with all the spikes, kept doing it.
I think the spiked one was the one who did it. It wasn't that.
Yeah. He was the one going back again and again and again, creating more and more ripples, destroying the past, present, and future. That's why there's new universes spawning and them colliding into each other, and everything was falling apart.
And then he
now
still ruined it at the end.
They're never going to follow up on the story, and we're never going to find out what happened. They're never going to resolve it because the movie's failing.
Wait, I have to ask a question now. Are we saying that the Flash has infinite rewinds, infinite resets, total control, and he just sets a whole new reality spinning out of control, and everyone in it gets destroyed every time he goes back and tries again? So he's like beyond Super Hilter. Is that what we're saying?
His body count is astronomical.
On like trillions doesn't cover it.
All for a can of tomatoes.
Asshole.
So he basically destroyed, like, I don't know if he destroyed the George Reeves Superman universe. I don't think so, but I think he destroyed the other ones.
But the implication was he is creating and destroying all those universes.
He bailed out the Time Variant Society as the most evil comic book entity of all time to ever be put on television.
And he didn't even learn his lesson at the end.
Story is the same thing. They erase entire universes. They kill Trillions of people.
Trillions and trillions and trillions.
Yeah.
Not to mention every whale and destroy every endangered species.
Yeah.
Every cause you've ever cried over, they kill that too. And that's, you know what? The most deeply immoral show is Loki, and I guess now Flash is the most deeply immoral movie, huh? And Jonathan Kasdan's got 50% of that.
Totally. His character does an arc at the end. He doesn't even realize he was wrong. He still moves the tomato cans up on the shelf so that his dad doesn't go to jail. So he still changes the timeline in the future, and that's why we got George Clooney Batman.
He's just willing to sacrifice trillions of people to achieve it. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, who knows?
He needs that many resets to get his tomato can.
Go ahead, Daniel. What were you going to
say? They're saying that when the Flash goes back and takes the can of tomatoes out of his mom's cart and puts it back on the shelf, he reset everything, so everything is fine. I don't know. That's what they're saying.
Yeah, it was fine, and then he moved the position of the tomatoes so that the security camera would see, so that his dad would not go to jail. So he still changed the timeline. It was just a different because he wanted to have his dad.
So just because he moved a can of tomatoes, that means the multiverse is okay. That means Michael Keaton is okay and everything is okay. I don't know about that.
Yeah,
No,
he
not
erased,
okay,
he
but
erased
better
Ben
than
Affleck.
it was at the
I think the only
catastrophic end.
Yeah, like he erased his Ben Affleck, and we got George Clooney.
And Ben Affleck was like, "Thank you."
Salty Trekker said that Zod still destroyed the Michael Keaton's world, and that's never going to change.
One problem I have with all these multiverse stories is this. Everyone has been conditioned through bad time travel stories that no one cares about anymore to accept a lot of these things, right? Like, for instance, in yesterday's Enterprise, it's just a bunch of photon torpedoes that throws the Enterprise through time. People will take anything for time travel, but time travel now is too complicated for most people. So we've got the multiverse. And all we ever get on that, when we get it, is the same exact line. Oh, no, it makes perfect sense. You just can't understand it. You're not smart enough. And the fact that audiences accept that is really that's messed up. You've been actively insulted by the storyteller.
Flash putting a baby in a microwave and the floating baby scene.
I saw
so
just
much
a little
terrible.
of that. How long does it go on for?
Too long. So
The entire opening sequence is about
so cringe.
I think 15, 20 minutes.
The fastest man alive gets hit in the head by a candy bar.
I think I'm going to have to go deal with some children. So
yeah, they sound like they're causing quite a ruckus.
Oh, yes, they are. So anyhow, I do want to thank everybody who's been here today.
Hell yeah.
Thank you all for joining. And I will see you all on Thursday.
Okay, sounds good.
Have a great day.
You as well.
Yeah,
Thanks,
take care,
Captain.
Yeah.